My coworker stole my family recipe for a competition, then fired me when I proved it was mine. I never thought a chocolate chip cookie recipe would cost me my job. The same recipe my grandmother whispered to me while I sat on her kitchen counter at age 8. The one she made me promise never to share because it was our family's only treasure. Last month, our office announced a company-wide baking competition with a $5,000 prize going to charity. I was excited minus baking as my stress relief, and I'd been wanting to support the local animal shelter. I mentioned to a few colleagues that I'd be entering my grandmother's famous cookies. One of those colleagues was Lisa, my direct supervisor. We weren't friends, but we were friendly. At least I thought we were. The day before the competition, Lisa asked to try one of my practice batches. I happily shared, watching her face light up with that first bite minus the reaction I always live for when sharing grandma's cookies. "These are incredible," she said. "What's your secret?" I laughed and tapped my nose. Family secret. Grandma would haunt me if I told competition. Day arrived, I set up my display next to Lisa's and my heart dropped. Her cookies looked identical to mine. Not similar minus identical down to the specific way I fold the dough rather than mixing the chocolate chips. When I confronted her quietly, she smiled coldly. "Prove it's your recipe." The judges loved both our entries, but ultimately awarded Lisa first place as she accepted the oversized check for her grandmother's cherished recipe. I felt physically sick that night. I called my mom in tears. She reminded me that Grandma had actually published the recipe once minus in our small hometown newspaper in 1973 when she won their county fair. Mom still had the yellowed clipping with our unusual family name clearly printed. The next morning, I brought the clipping to Edera, explaining the situation calmly. I didn't want the prize money minus, I just wanted the truth acknowledged. 2 hours later, I was called into a meeting with Lisa and a department head. I thought they were going to address the recipe theft. Instead, Lisa slid a termination notice across the table. "Your performance has been concerning for months," she said, not meeting my eyes unfortunately. "We have to let you go." When I mentioned the recipe and newspaper clipping, the department head cut me off. "Lisa has been with the company for 12 years. This personal vendetta is exactly the kind of unprofessional behavior that concerns us." I was escorted out by security, my family recipe clipping still clutched in my hand. That evening, I posted a simple story on my personal social media, minus just the facts, the newspaper clipping, and a photo of my grandmother smiling over a plate of her famous cookies. I didn't name the company or Lisa. By morning, 3 competing companies had reached out with job offers. The local news wanted an interview, and my former company's social media was flooded with cookie nick comments. "Lisa called me yesterday, voice shaking, take down that post and we can discuss your position." I declined. Some family treasures are worth more than a job, like integrity, truth, and the perfect amount of sea salt in a chocolate chip cookie. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply sharing your truth, and maybe your cookie's just not your recipe.